Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. I am Swati Negi Chibbar. A lot has been happening and not happening in the world of education post the outbreak of COVID-19 and the subsequent introduction of India's new education policy 2020. Let's take a look at some of these which make our top stories.
Delhi University admissions go fully online. Many states yet to decide school reopening dates, unsure due to COVID-19 situation. Karnataka announces 3-week midterm holiday for schools from October 12th to October 30th. Schools to not reopen in Maharashtra before Diwali, Education Minister Varsha Gaikwad. LSR records highest cutoffs at 100% for 3 courses. No need to spend dollars on a foreign degree anymore, Ramesh Pokhriyal. IIM alumni Shrikant Datar becomes the Dean of Harvard, second consecutive Indian to achieve so. Modi wants Oxford, Harvard and Yale to open campuses in India. Role of NCERT is very important in implementing new education policy. Political Science and BCom Honours, toughest to get in at Delhi University. Delhi University cutoffs bring out the flaws in the system. Postpone board exams to May next year, Delhi government to High Court. Despite high cutoffs, Delhi University sees a high number of applications. NTA to hold NEET re-exams for students who weren't able to appear for MHCET due to power outage. Mizoram to reopen schools for class 10th and 12th on October 16th. Gujarat colleges to end academic year by July 2021. Expert says that NEET cutoffs will be higher. Punjab allows school to reopen for class 9th to 12th after October 15th. Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University to be operational soon, Arvind Kejriwal. For in-depth details of all stories and analysis, log on to www.edumate.tv.
So these were the top headlines from the world of education. Now let's move on to our special series on the class of 2020, where we engage with students, teachers, principals and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
Hello and welcome to all of you, very, very special guests, and for me, even more special students. It's such a pleasure to reconnect with school, finally, once and for all, after several decades. We live to learn, and we learn to live in what has become unprecedented times. Times which make history across the geography of Mother Earth, where a minor virus has created a major stir, leading to a state of uncertainty. And we know that the only thing certain is uncertainty, just the way the only thing constant is change. And change we must to adopt and adapt to the different circumstances, the post-COVID world. In the first part of our series, we started with the new normal, a candid COVID classroom with the principals of various schools. Today, we feel it's important to extend this to the people who are affected at large, my most beloved students. At a time when teaching is changing, classrooms are changing, devices are changing, methodologies are changing. It's time for us also to change. But while you're not having regular classes, I understand that your quizzical minds will always have questions, will always want solutions, will always have ideas, will always have thoughts which need to be put into action. And that is why we bring to you the class of 2020. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me introduce my esteemed panelists. First up, in the first of our class of 2020, the objective out here is the young, bright minds of students who are full of questions which need not just to be answered, but their eagerness needs to be satisfied. And we've got our special guest to talk us through and guide them through this process over the next 80 minutes of the class of 2020. Let's first start with a student from Darjeeling Public School. I believe Rubaiya Mustaqim is here. Rubaiya, welcome to the show. What is your question? How will the teenagers get over by the trauma of being affected by COVID-19? I think it's important, Rubaiya, to understand that the trauma is still ongoing. So getting over it will only be when hopefully we get over COVID.
A new normal where the focus of governments would be expected to be on public health and public education. A new normal when we would expect nature, or what else should I say, preservation of nature as a primary aspect of the society, sustainable growth of economy as a primary aspect. Coming to your life, individual lives, it's so nice to see. I have already met Honorable Principal Chandacharan Das in the earlier programs. I have also met Vice Principal Victoria Rahman in the earlier program as well. So nice to see your students now, the people whom you are grooming. And I would like to tell these young people who are at the threshold of adulthood, coming to 18 years of age, threshold of leaving school and getting into colleges, come, this is a historical moment in your life. In the last 100 years, such a pandemic has not happened. You will never forget this year 2020. You and I will never forget, but you will be even more remembering, because this is the year you are passing out of school and entering into college. This is the year you made a very wise decision, because schools were largely physical in the old normal, but education will become phygital, physical plus digital, both blended. This is the new normal of the tomorrow. So do not be at all traumatized. Welcome this new situation with open arms. Understand that you have to be digital personality. So digital personality will require a laptop, a smartphone and Wi-Fi connection to begin with. And then voluntary learning. So far learning many a time was enforced or imposed by the system on us. Now we are entering into a situation at the physical level in schools and colleges. We will have the normal discipline learning, and at your own space in the digital space, you will have a voluntary learning. What to study and what not to study, how much to study, at what speed to study is on you in the digital world. So you are going towards a new phygital world. There is nothing to be traumatized about. Also, teachers have to understand, we the teachers have to understand, we cannot teach you anymore. Digital world can give you information more than what we can give. So we can mentor you, not teach you. Our job has become now mentoring. Mentoring is about giving a new direction. Mentoring is about being an agony aunt or an agony uncle when you have problems. Mentoring is about motivation and inspiration. Mentoring is about introducing something to you. But you have to understand that you are no more a student. Yes, we use the word student as a practice, in practice or as habit. But you are now a learner and not a student.
You know, you don't deal with life in fear. Life will throw you a lot of challenges, but those challenges are to be overcome. I'll tell you two very simple, I wouldn't say dialogues, but two very easy lines you'll always remember. One is from a film, one is from an ad. If you remember the film Sholay, there was a line out there, "Jo dar gaya, samjho mar gaya." Essentially, you are the lifeline of this country, right? The least thing we'd want you to be is fearful of any situation. And the second thing, it's a more powerful line in terms, which was was an ad line which said ki dar ke aage jeet hai. So when you start looking beyond fear, you start seeing that fear is just another emotion. It's your reaction to a situation. There's no fear outside. The fear is all coming from within. That's what will help you to change and overcome a situation. Because dar ke aage always jeet hai. I tell you this from my personal life experiences. Thank you, Rubaiya. It's a brilliant question, though, and a very good way to start. Paramita Das is with us. Paramita, what is your question, please?
Good afternoon, judges. My question is, can this online classes ever replace the way in which teacher used to take live classes in which they could interact more precisely with the students?
This is the very, very pertinent session to have arranged, because when I used to organize the Inspire program with the session of the class 11 and 12 standard, I used to advocate that bring the teachers as well as the parents in one session along with the students. And you have done the right thing, what I could advocate in the last 10 years in my service life. Congratulations for that.
There will not be a situation where it's absolutely online. It has to be a combination of both online and offline, as what even Professor Chaudhary said. It's going to be the physical as well as the digital, and make it the digital world. So a lot of things are in the waiting, but whenever you have to wait for something, I'd always suggest be excited about it. Look forward to what's coming, because it will be obviously to your benefit, and eventually it will empower you further. Jafar, your question, please.
So my question is, what are the adverse effects of going online completely?
Last day also when I joined the webinar, I told one thing, that there are two sides of every coin. Which coin you want to see totally depends on you. Now, see, we all know that we were not ready for such a situation where we have to be all technically so advanced, many of us. But in a very short time, students as well as teachers and different institutions, they have coped up with the situation. But what I think is the most adverse effect which may happen is that suddenly students getting too much in contact with the net world, I should say. Like before, there was a situation where we as teachers or principals used to tell that don't use mobile, stay away from social media. But now a time has come where you used to have those internet or use those internet which you need to do your classes. So students are using it from many schools from 5 to 12. So suddenly they got an open area which they don't know at all. So, the students who will not able to understand their responsibility, sometimes they will find something which is very casual or attractive, but which is not at all good for them. So this may affect adversely. And other than that, like sitting a lot of time in front of the computer, laptops, or these mobiles, it will definitely affect the health issues if it continues. But on the other hand, if we see the positive side, then we'll see that now we are in a world where we have to be technically sound, where everything is open now. There is no height, nothing is hidden, everything is open. So it totally depends on us. As per me,
physical distancing will continue. So all batches of learners need not come to campus for all 6 or 5 days of the week. There could be odd and even sort of hygiene factor should be one. Wherever there is food being cooked inside the college, as we do it in our Edumate University also, lunches people have in the college, and for hostel students is BLD, breakfast, lunch and dinner. For day scholars it's lunch. So we will have to increase those spices and ingredients that increase the immunity. Kala jeera, haldi, adrak and many others. That food has to be re-looked at, the way it is being cooked and the ingredients which are being used. And a lot of lemon use, citrus foods use, and nimbu pani, drinking nimbu pani. These would be very common going ahead, and it will be encouraged actively. The other aspect is coming to campus, as we do it now also we shall be doing it after the lockdown here as well on our campus as well. Coming to campus will be for laboratory work, for studio work, for group discussions, peer discussions and all, and any strategy meeting, planning any strategy or events. The people should come for these 5 things to campus. For those which are theoretical classes, which are conceptual classes, the first priority will be digital learning. So you will be given in advance PowerPoint, PDF, video, podcast, that is audio, and case studies. To self-study one, that is called flipped classroom. And then you discuss it in the classroom later on for doubt clearance. So Google Class and Zoom class on the days you are not coming to campus will be common. So it's a very different new normal. You blend again. Do not think that online will only be there. It cannot be. There has to be peer group, friendship among youngsters. There has to be a guru or teacher or a mentor. I would like to say mentor. So mentorship is important. So therefore, physical 3 days a week maybe, for largely studio, laboratory groups, discussions and debates and strategy meeting and events, and digital for conceptual learning, video viewing, audio hearing, listening, and PDF listening, reading, all these digital, and then Google Class and Zoom class. Any doubts, clear it physically. So blended, seamless physical and digital, creating a phygital format of learning. Thank you, Keshav, for asking this question. I think this is a question of every youngster who is studying now.
You know, your question was that how will the college function after life return to normalcy? That question itself perhaps is flawed because it assumes that what you're seeing today you think is not normal, and perhaps the old normal is going to come back. I think it's important to understand the expectations of the future are going to be very different. There has to be a new normal, as what Professor Chaudhary was saying. So we need to mentally also accept that we are heading into a situation which is going to be new. And we have to receive that with an open mind. How much of it is going to be online, how much is going to be offline is one part of the matter. But that old normal will not come back. I think you have to be mentally prepared for that. That is the conditioning of your mind, which is important. And so your next question, in fact, if I were to rewrite your question, I would say, what is the new normal going to look like? Avantika Gupta is with us. Avantika, what is your question? Are we going to take a lesson from Mother Nature for maintaining its beauty and keeping it sustainable? Beautiful question. Or are we going to destroy and deplete it?
And this question has come in a way, the way it begins with is caring like from the first question. The children are remaining in trauma. They are expecting something very totally different. I understand a beautiful name you have given to it is a new normal. A change has come. Now we are in course of our teaching, in course of our rearing, the parents, the teachers, everybody who is a well-wishers around, they always equip us, always inspire us to be patient and to carry forward. And many a times also we have said like, cut your coat according to the clothes. Look at this stock, design accordingly. And when a time has come, just like a day dance and you have to go somewhere and it's raining and you find new ways. And you don't get held up with that. You find newer and newer ways of it. And in the first instant, if you are not that equipped, that successful, probably in the days ahead or in the attempts ahead, you are rectifying and correcting yourself and going. So you are totally not going from the physical to totally to a digital, but you are going comfortably with whatever avenues available, with the people around you, the support of the mentors, the teachers, the parents, the government. Everybody is looking for it, how to make it easier, convenient, how to provide things so that what happens with the resources available, we can stretch forward and we just take it the way any change comes, change is dynamic. I wish to make my students very optimistic that this change has come and not in the way you were thought of, but you are in a very improvised way. In a sort of time-oriented way, you are making yourself, setting yourself. And you will be the first example, being the first batch of students in this transition period. So you will be the leaders. You will experience it the most. And you have the opportunity to teach the people around. And with regard to this, the saving the nature or destroying it, but I understand it is probably We are talking of whatever resources available we have. We will shape them well. We will take them forward. We will, with ourselves, we will find new ways of utilizing it and improvisations and to become successful. Dearest children, it is an opportunity that you are among these leading educationists and one like Mr. Chetan Sharma. Just be a visionary. Just look ahead. It is nothing has happened. A change has come. Let us take this as a change only. And you will be successful. There is nothing to be afraid of. And the way, now with regard to the teachers, when some of you are talking of physical classes and all, right? Because we were used to it, we were depending on it. Totally we were depending. We were not doing anything when somebody says there, somebody pats, or somebody makes us go ahead. But then now, a time is coming. And you have to equip yourself, you have to make yourself successful. So with looking at the resources available, looking at the provisions available, you will definitely, the time will teach you, time will make you fit, time will make you sufficiently smart to go forward. So there is nothing like to destroy whatever you have. You will have definitely find a way, find an opportunity to carry it further. You will love to nourish it. You will love to mend it in your way, and you will see that you are going very successful. There is nothing change, wrong has come. Just a change has come. A change in this form, what we see. Maybe we have not thought of, but then, now somebody was talking, I will definitely thank them, that like, the children were asked not to go for mobiles, phones and all. Why? We were reminding them the goods and bads. We have said all the values were there with us. Values we forget. We say Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayati yati patratam, patratvat dharma proti dhana dharma tato sukam. The values were always there with us. Each time we never leave any opportunity to inspire our children to go with the values. Why should they go beyond? Why should they limit with themselves what is available? Why can't they be very sensitive to what people are saying, what the mentors look for, what they are supposed to become? Why can't they always, we will say now, they will deviate from here. What problem will come? Now a change has come. We will definitely take the good ones, the good ways, the test of it, and we will go forward. I hope, I'm very optimistic, and I hope my children will also understand and to carry it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Indeed, extremely inspiring, just the way you were last time, Principal Sir. Thank you so much for for inspiring for the students, not just the students, the learners as well. Just let me add a little bit, Avantika. You need to understand that for you, things that are going to be in the future are normal. Your problem is 1/10 of our problem. Look at people like us who studied for 30 years in the old system. We've got to unlearn and then relearn. So we have a two-way process. As far as you're concerned, you have a one-way process. So you've got a huge advantage over us as children, because your minds are fresh, your minds are flexible, your minds accept much more, your minds are always physical. So for you, this is the best time to be. And you can talk to your teachers and they'll tell you how difficult it is for them to adjust, because the older you get in life, the more inflexible and rigid you become. So this is your opportunity to actually meet the competition which the elderly are going to provide you. And you have the power of technology to take yourselves forward. And to answer your question specifically, are we again going to destroy or deplete our reserves? Avantika, that lies in your hands, because you're the future. It's not us. We are the past. You're the future. So how you want to treat your earth going forward lies with you. The only caveat and caution out here is, do remember that if you choose an extreme measure, whether you like it or not, Mother Nature will come back and reply in whatever way. If you nurture it well, it will bloom with you. But if you choose extreme measures, it will also choose to destroy. So the choice lies with you. Thank you for that question.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Well, it is indeed an interesting class of 2020. Now, isn't it? We will bring it right back to you after this very short break. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome to Adamus. I'm proud to be part of Adamus University.
Adamus University. Pursue excellence.
And what is it that's required to make our education system more skewed towards employability?
Many engineers who are employed, they are not employable. That means there is something wrong with our education system. So, education has to be, the magic word is relevance. What you teach them, what they learn has to be relevant at that particular point of time.
How much do you think, I mean, you of course, you're a young minister yourself and you interact with the youth all the time. Where do you feel that their pain points are at this time?
We are still following the British system of education. Up to some extent it is right, but completely it may not be correct, because many of our young minds, our people are working in Houston, in NASA. Many are employed in other countries. So if we were to produce, our system is just to produce clerks, they would have not been working there. So that may not be completely correct, but change is the only permanent thing. So India is not behind. We are also, moving very far, very fast. I have a dream. You see, people, students, they go from the village to the city for studies. From the cities, they go to abroad. They go abroad for studies. Do you see anybody coming from abroad to study in the city, or anybody from the city to the village? No. Why? So my dream is, I would like to bring people from city for studies to the rural area and the village. That is my dream.
बोर्ड एग्जाम्स याद है सबको अपने अपने? बोर्ड एग्जाम्स का एक अनरिटन रूल था, राइट? जितने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन है उतना लंबा आंसर लिखना है. Like if the question is, why did Ram kill Ravan? And if it's for 2 marks, then Ram killed Ravan because Ravan kidnapped Sita. But if it's for 5 marks, then once upon a time there's a king named Ram. If it's for 10 marks, then once upon a time there's a king named Dashrath. If it's for 15 marks, then India is a secular country. We follow many religions. फिर ज्योग्राफी में मैप पकड़ा देते थे, उसमें कुछ भी चीजें मार्क करवा रहे. Mark 2 places in India where gold is found. अबे पता तो वहीं चले जाता मैं. यहाँ कलम नहीं घिस रहा होता. तो मैंने मार्क्स में लिख दिया मन्नापुरम फाइनेंस, मुथूट फाइनेंस. उसके बाद में ऐसे राइटिंग, वहां पे कुछ भी ऐसे लिखवा रहे हैं. इफ आई वर द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. ये ऐसे है कि अडवाणी जी की आत्मकथा. उसके बाद में सबसे गंदा क्वेश्चन, सबसे वाहियात क्वेश्चन, लेटर राइटिंग. उसमें कुछ भी लेटर लिखवा रहे तुमसे. राइट एन इनफॉर्मल लेटर टू ए सिस्टर टेलिंग हर द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ गुड़ी पाड़वा. अबे नहीं पता यार मेरे को इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ गुड़ी पाड़वा. और पता भी है तो लेटर की लिखूंगा? मेरी सिस्टर में घर पे रहती है. वो पोस्टमैन कंफ्यूज हो जाएगा, टू और फ्रॉम सेम एड्रेस से चल क्या रहा है इनका. सेम घर से झोला लेके निकल रहा, सेम घर वापस आ रहा हूं, यही काम बचा है क्या मेरे को? बट फिर मैं देखा लेटर 15 मार्क्स के लिए था. और मार्क्स के लिए मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूं. तो मैंने लिखना शुरू कर दिया गुड़ी पाड़वा पे. डियर सिस्टर, India is a secular country. We follow many religions.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Let's go back to our class of 2020 and join Chetan Sharma, founder of Edumate.tv, in conversation with students, teachers, principals, and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
These were first 5 questions which we had from the Darjeeling Public School, our young minds from there. Let's now go across to the first 5 questions with OP Jindal School. Astitva Tripathi is with us. Astitva, thank you for joining us. What is your question?
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, I am feeling that I am losing my ability to communicate in person due to extra reliance on screen and online relationships. How to manage it?
We human, we never lose touch with individual people. Okay, so what will happen is there will be the things will change. The new normal has changed completely. Okay, but we as a human, we are always going to be efficient enough to deal with people, to talk with people. See, even though it might have happened that you talk with people through screen, but the screen or the digital media can never ever take over the place of human touch. So that is always going to stay. Yes, during this situation, you might feel that for some time, as because you people are not going out, nobody is going out. So you might feel that this lockdown is taking toll on you. But once the things get normal, where everyone will be able to move out of the house, you will adopt and you will realize that you actually did not lose your ability to communicate or to communicate with the people in person or in real.
So this lockdown is making me mentally ill and weak, as I don't see the colors of life when I peep outside. So how to deal with this one?
See, what we are today not in the normal situation, but because of this not in normal situation, we all are suffering. We all is it I'm audible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Because of this unusual situation, what we are really mentally stressed, both young minds, older minds, and any age group in that sense. And young minds will be much more, because they have many things to think of at this moment. Their career, their mostly the future and all these things. You should be positive in your thinking process. You should plan your activities properly, and that will do away your mental stress little bit. You should do something, physical exercise, breathing exercise, which reduces your mental stress, mental illness.
My parents express their deep dissatisfaction about my screen time. They don't understand my online engagements. So how to align them with my thoughts?
This Mohit has asked a wonderful question. Being a parent, even sometimes I express my annoyance when I see my kids very much busy with phone all the time. But my dear Mohit, the situation has come like that. As parents, we should understand that now the students are taught through mobile phones only. Previously, we were very much against usage of mobile and technology by our children. But now, the complete schooling, complete teaching, learning, that has come into mobile. So as parents, we need to understand, we need to realize, the situation's demand. And as Modi ji said in one of his speeches, just in the recent few days, he said, to find out opportunity in the adversity. Aapada mein afsar ko talashna. So, as parents, I have to say, we should realize the situation, and at the same time, we must keep an eye on our children. They are young minds only. They do not know what is good, what is bad for them, though they are sensible enough, but still vigilance is required. So as my dear Mohit, and all youngsters, all you teenagers, you better need to take your parents in confidence, in deep confidence of yours. You need to take them as your best companions, because right now you're missing your peer support. As you're missing your peer support, kindly find out that support in your parents. Have confidence in them, kindly trust them. Do share your every day-to-day activities which are planned by your school with them. Only then they are going to realize that, yes, you really need to sit with mobile or laptop just to utilize your time constructively.
So we are not able to play outdoors, which somehow is affecting my focus and concentration. So how to deal with it?
Yeah, it's true that we all know that all work and no play definitely makes Jack a dull boy. But now suddenly a situation has come where we cannot go outside of our houses because that is not secure. So but that doesn't mean that we are totally locked. Like few minutes back, one question was asked, very nice by one girl, I think Debolina. She asked that we are forgetting or we are not getting to see what is life or something like that. So it's all interrelated, I believe, because you are in such a stage, because most of the students over here, they're from class 12, you are in such a stage where you have to think that what games really should mean to you. Now you are like most of us now, we are not in a stage where we are going out, or most of the time when we are having our normal school, when we were having our normal life. It's not so that everybody was enjoying play games or something like that, going outside, outdoor games. Most of the times it was like that we are busy in our work, students were busy in their race to get good marks or something like that, and parents are taken care of. But suddenly a situation has come where we are locked inside. So it's very important how we understand the situation and what we think can be taken right this moment. No doubt not doing physical activities, not going out, not being able to play is quite tough. But we can do the same in our home also, inside our house. Because many of the people have now started doing yoga. Many people have started doing meditation. They are using whatever space they have inside their house on their terrace, and they are using it. So we can use that also. Apart from that meditation right this moment, because we are locked inside our houses, where we are only in a virtual world, where we can connect with our friends through virtual world, but not real world. So over there, I think meditation is very important. You should do that. You should understand. You should do something creative.
Actually, I sing. I'm a singer.
Right.
So I would rather give more concentration on singing. So that would help me get my focus back.
Good. So I'm going to get you to focus right now. Sing me one song, 4 lines of one song, your best song, favorite song.
Oh, for sure, sir.
All yours.
तलवारों पे सरवार दिए, अंगारों में जिस्म जलाया है, तब जाके कहीं हमने ये केसरी रंग सजाया है.
Yeah. Beautiful. Why are you wasting your time with pool and badminton, for God's sake, man? You're blessed with such a beautiful voice. God bless you, and thank you so much for that beautiful poetry. Wonderful rendition. God bless you. From coming back now to the Darjeeling Public School, Narmata Sarkar, what is your question?
How are the schools going to cover the problem lacking behind of syllabus of students' curriculum?
Today also we have received another communication from CBSE. What all are the chapters to be covered, focused for the examination? As my dear children, particularly in some of the mathematics, if I talk of, there were some questions were marked with stars and all, saying these are not for examination. Like that, there will be some chapters in the book which were either there as a previous knowledge, or they have some steps ahead in the next year, in the years to come. So they have been redesigned again. The education, the coordinators, the academic coordinators, and in the apex body too, CBSE, is redesigning this syllabus, so that what happens, the right chapters, the relevant chapters will only be taken up and will be focused more for the examination. In the rest of the chapters will definitely be touched, but then not with that importance, not wasting that much time, it is not a waste definitely, but then not engaging the children for a long time in those chapters.
Isn't it equally necessary to educate the parents in technical field so that they can keep a check on their child, what they're doing on the internet?
Now, yes, internet today makes vulnerable to the young mind. That's what the parents thinks, and maybe to some extent it is true. But as someone pointed out in this session, that student or the child needs to convince or make the parents as a companion what is the importance for surfing those sites. So parents need to make them understand by the child, and equally the parents need to accept that situation, that in the today's scenario, when education, when every activity of the society or day-to-day life is technology based and needs to use the technology utmost, and knowledge of technology utmost needed. So therefore, it is also the duty of both parents as well as the child to get them in equal level and convince them the need of those situations and those technology in our process.
What is the student concern when they get to compare between physical presence and doing online classes?
During this COVID, what we have come up is we all are this, all the educationists and even the students must have realized this. If the student does not want to learn by himself or herself, then on this earth will be able to make him or her learn. So that's why students be interested to learn his or her subject. They should be appealing to the and yes, of course, in the online like sometimes it is not possible to connect due to the net issues. It is not always possible to connect with the teachers. So in that case, what you do is as soon as your classes is over, you can just call with the teachers and then try to get back with the subjects or the topics which you missed out at that particular time.
My question is, I am badly missing peer support because my support network has been taken away due to this corona outbreak. How to live with this situation?
The plight of migrant laborers and other such issues related to today's time are disturbing me. So how to avoid this mental agony?
Yes, I'm worrying a lot about how the ongoing pandemic is adversely affecting my studies and the timely completion of syllabus, because while online classes are great and all, they're just not as efficient as offline classes.
Basically, I think the whole world suffering from this pandemic situation where physical contact also strictly prohibited. In order to avoid this situation, what I think, we are trying online classes very sincerely, but still I feel that it's not complete, because my direct contact and somehow teaching through online is, I know that this is something different, but still I say that in order to avoid such a adverse situation, we are trying somehow from outside, and rest part you have to do by yourself, because I think that you are really lucky or unlucky because you have just eyewitness for this adverse situation, that how the whole world is suffering a lot from this situation. And studies is required also, but learning also we are trying through online classes sincerely we are doing, and rest part you have to do by yourself. And whatever problems you are facing due to these online classes, you can take help of your teachers directly or indirectly over phone also, so that the situation can be overcome. Except that I think that you can refer some books also, and teachers are always ready for that to help you. And with this only it can be sorted out. Else I don't think that this situation can be directly school will be opened, because first target is that give complete protection to students first, and because you are only future, so that's why you cannot take any risk by taking offline classes. So only online classes from our side, and rest from that some initiative and some extra efforts you need to do in order to make your studies somehow satisfaction. What I think, sir.
I personally believe the miseries of the migrant labor. First of all, who is the migrant labor? We only have an impression that man on the street who is walking with his family and belongings is a migrant labor. I'm sorry, it's not. I was born in Bengal and I worked in Symbiosis, Pune. I am a migrant labor. Chetan Sharma is born in Calcutta. He's working in Delhi. He is a migrant labor. Please understand, we are all 90% of many of us, most of us have worked in some other place other than our place of birth. In a way, we all are migrant labor. The unfortunate thing, because I and Chetan come in middle class or maybe a little upper middle class, so we have a secure life. And those people who are working to build our bridges, our homes, our roads, run our factories, they do not have a secure life. So it's a question not of migrant labor, it's a question of injustice done to the people who are financially weak. That's one issue I wanted to put forth. Yes, going beyond, there are many NGOs doing commendable work. Many individuals are doing commendable work. I am sure many of us have contributed. By now I have contributed 3 times in bringing in some food and succor to people who are at the lowest level. So this shows your sensitivity as a young person, and I appreciate. Taking the other questions, colors of life, Devolina, actually you can see some other colors of life now. Many a thing that you never knew, that there is something called Zoom meeting you are seeing just now. You might not have done this Zoom meeting earlier. Many a thing, you would not have met Honorable Dr. Amalesh Mukhopadhyay, the former advisor to the Government of India's Science and Technology Department, if you had not come on Zoom. You would not have met India's one of the leading anchors, Chetan Sharma, if you had not come on Zoom. So look at everything as a new color of life. The other colors of life, meeting your principal, your teacher directly face to face, meeting your friends, meeting your relatives, that would be remaining. That will again come. But there are certain new things which you have never done, you would have not done otherwise, which you are doing now. The time you are spending with your siblings and parents is also a value, is also a blessing in disguise. So turn everything into an opportunity. The point is how an individual turns a crisis into an opportunity is the test of that person's resilience. You can do online courses as Amalesh sir has told earlier. In our school, university, those who are seeking admission now, those who are in class 12, we have already opened up paid diploma under course era from American universities free of cost. They have not even now become our students. Still, they have just applied, and we have opened up Coursera to them so that they can do and understand that you can get sitting at home a diploma of University of Michigan or University of Yale, and that is a fabulous color of life. It was never thought of. Nature protection, one has asked, very good. This is something I am happy that you have observed, that we need to, and Chetan ji has already told, we need to protect the environment to make ours and our next few generations secure. Because environment and the fundamentals of it needed to be protected, balance of nature has to be protected.
I often hear the term a glass of water is either half full or half empty. It's up to you which one you look at it as. If you look at it as half empty, then you look at the word without. You look at how can I live without going out of my house? How can I live without going to my favorite movie theater? How can I live without going to my favorite restaurant? How can I live without going to meet my boyfriend or my girlfriend? That's the half empty part. There's also a half full part. And if you convert the without into the within, you will discover a very powerful element of yourself. This is an opportunity for you to cover, uncover, discover, and rediscover the most important thing, and that is you, yourself. So it's time for you to look within, reflect, correct, resurrect, and bring out the best of yourself. They say that, good things never last, but neither does a pandemic. This too shall pass, and I'm sure each of you will pass with flying colors. And for that, you've got to be collective, corrective, and creative. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Congratulations to the class of 2020. Now let's turn it up.
There's nothing and no one that can stop you from changing the world.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Yo! Congratulations!
Congrats!
I don't think my microphone's working.
You will prevail.
There's so much amazing stuff that's just waiting to be discovered and designed and built, and you guys are the ones that are going to do it.
It is your passion. Work for it. Embrace it. Expect the unexpected, but celebrate anyway.
Find that silver lining.
That's pretty awesome.
This is the part where you grow.
So, take all of this advice with a grain or an entire shaker of salt.
Don't be defined by what you lose in this crisis, but by how you respond to it.
It's still so important that you take this moment to appreciate what you've achieved.
I'm so proud of you all. Congratulations. See you in the world.
You are in one of the most important transitions of your life, and yet these are not normal times. But normal is a myth. This, the unknown, the unexpected, this is real, because again and again in your career, no, in your life, you're gonna have things that don't go your way. Normal does not make you stronger. Challenges do.
You've been exposed to more knowledge and perspectives than my generation ever was. You're more tolerant, empathetic, entrepreneurial, environmentally conscious.
Your story matters. In tough times like these, you continue to be what gives me hope. You all are exactly what we need right now.
First and foremost,
We did it.
together.
We found unbelievable
Opportunity, resilience, and light.
where others found disappointment.
We heard
You cannot sit with your friends.
you cannot see your family. You cannot walk
Across
that stage. But this isn't our first challenge.
We're stronger because of what we experienced.
We speak out when we need to. And we speak up when others can't.
We heard you cannot walk
Across
that stage.
it doesn't matter.
What does matter is what you can do.
You,
You
the class of 2020,
can do anything.
America is a song yet to be written.
Real change has started with you.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Education policy is going to bring quality in the system of education in general and higher education in particular, with the help of 5-pillar concept of education stressed by Honorable Prime Minister, that is accessibility, affordability, equity, quality and accountability.
खेलो कूदो और पढ़ो वाली जो पॉलिसी है बहुत अच्छा रहेगा बच्चों के लिए। बच्चे का एक शारीरिक विकास भी अच्छा होगा और उसके ऊपर वजन नहीं रहेगा। और दूसरा जो इंग्लिश को एकदम दबाव नहीं बनाया है बच्चे के ऊपर, उसमें बच्चा की क्षेत्रीय लैंग्वेज और जो मातृभाषा है उसको स्टडी करेगा।
There are so many things which are attached to the education policy which would not only give opportunities of better research and better upskilling to the students, but opportunities to get a good job or imbibe a skill set which would help them even in becoming an entrepreneur.
This policy will take care of the economy of our country, and also I think we will once again emerge a universal guru for higher education.
Well, ironically, the new education policy aims not just at education,
of the entire gamut of human resource development as it expands the lens beyond structured curriculum and predictable careers to a holistic 360-degree character-building process, as it addresses the critical needs of employment and employability, offering a creative mix of flexibility and focus all throughout the learning life of a student, as it empowers the teacher, enhancing transparency and accountability through leaner governance. The new education policy truly has the makings perfect and clear 2020 vision, provided it's implemented in true letter and spirit.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Coming ahead is our very special show, The Vice Chancellor, with Professor Ramesh Chaudhary, Vice Chancellor, APJ University, Shimla, an exclusive conversation of insights and inspiration with Chetan Sharma, founder, Edumate.tv. Over to Chetan.
Hello and welcome to Edumate.tv. I'm Chetan Sharma. We learn to live and live to learn in what has become an unprecedented situation, an unprecedented pandemic, where a minor virus has created a major catastrophe, creating history across the geography of Mother Earth, and forcing us to reboot, rethink, reset before we rebuild our lives. And our lives, particularly in the world of health and in the world of education, where the best way forward is wisdom. Wisdom of past experience and wisdom of an insight into the future. And that's what makes this very special when we talked to the Vice Chancellors heading the higher education institutions of this country in our special program called The Wise Chancellor. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Ramesh Chaudhary. He's at the helm of the AP Goyal Shimla University. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Chaudhary. What a pleasure to be connected with you. And in a way, I'm a little envious of you because here I am in New Delhi in the blistering heat and at a time when this is one of the red hot zones of coronavirus, while you are at the pristine climes and the cool weather of Shimla, where to a large extent social distancing and safety distancing is almost enforced by default. What's the update in Shimla?
It's a lovely in Shimla, you know, Himachal has an extra edge with the environment and weather. And especially with the pandemic, you know, when the whole world has improved their environment because of this lockdown. And we are looking a significant difference in Himachal, in a significant difference in Shimla also. And of course, compared to Delhi, we are in the safe zone, thanks to the God and to the government also. Our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Jairam Thakurji, was very particular to saving the Himachal, and he take a lead. And you see still with the unlock 2, the Himachal has not been reopened. Still, we are very reserved with the visitors from outside, and pass is required. So that way, and our university is in very picturesque environment, and it's a lovely university having students from 28 countries and 29 states. And I am very delighted to share you, we all are safe, stay at the home, and looking forward and moving forward with all restrictions and limitations.
Well, thank you for that reassurance, and we're so glad to hear those words. Every crisis, Dr. Chaudhary, has an opportunity. Perhaps there's a special opportunity for places like Shimla on account of location and on account of the entire topography of that area. Simply because when you see most of the cases of coronavirus has hit urban India. So it may encourage students to go and study in places like Shimla. Do you see that as an opportunity for yourselves?
I not only see, I realized it's an opportunity. And I'm very happy to share you at at least AP Guel Simla University has converted into opportunity. This pandemic, as we all know, has affected all the sections of the society, and education is the most, And as per the UNESCO report, 98% of the educational institutions are shut down, are closed, and it has affected 200 plus countries. And especially the Indian education sector, were not geared up, not ready, because it's still the blended learning was a very distant in the Indian education sector. But I'm very happy why I call it as an opportunity and why I call it as a blessing in disguise. Simla University had adopted the outcome-based education system in 2019. And for achieving the outcome-based education system, we have implemented the ADHIS. ADHIS is basically a learning management software.
Yes.
So we did as a pilot project from August 2019 to the December, where we felt the power of the LMS, we felt the importance of the outcome-based education system in the higher education. And then it has been decided to implement completely. So from January, we had implemented completely all learning and teaching practices were transferred to the ADHIS, which is a LMS. And once in March, all in a sudden, we were forced and we were required to close down. For a time being, it was a shocking for us and as we were moving. But then we found that we are in the most comfortable positions. 80% of our learning and teaching practice is already online. We were doing everything right from the assignment submissions to the program outcome to the course outcome. It's all were the online. So what we did, why I call it, we converted it into opportunity, and then with the help of your Google Classes and other platforms, we have been able to achieve 100% digital learning.
Quite remarkable, and thank you for bringing that with that sense of humility and honesty. And what's important, Dr. Chaudhary, is that they always say that life comes a full circle, and there'll always be situations where certain people are put at an advantage and others will not. This, of course, is the time when those who build institutions, taken the effort, taken the risk and the trouble to build them in areas which were not urban, should be and have prepared themselves on the online platform for distant education, should be the beneficiaries, and that's how things even out. But on the other hand, there's also a bit of an apprehension, sir, and this I say, having spoken to students and parents, over the last 100 days, is that there is a hesitance to send students outside one state. One has the feeling that perhaps given the migrant labor crisis and given the impending parallel of a migrant student crisis, whether in India and abroad, parents are far more comfortable ensuring that their ward studies in the same state. If that be the case, that may be a bit of a disadvantage, particularly in a small state like yours. Do you see that being a threat at any point in time?
This is a challenging time for the human civilizations, basically. And everybody is suffering with the confusion, and uncertainty is prevailing. And same with the students, their parents, the mobility of the students, migration of the students, and by and large it will be affected. Okay. But what I understand and what I would like to convey to the parents, this is the testing time for all of us. We have to show our brave face, and how we are actually meeting these challenges is very important. And in this endeavor, even the Indian regulating bodies like UGC and other regulating bodies regulating the higher education system, they have also come up with the proposals. You see, we should understand that now technology has progressed a lot, and as the UGC is the vision, if the situation is not coming normal, till normalcy is prevailing, the online teaching will continue. And there are so many things. The government of India has initiated the SWAYAM program under the Ministry of HRD. And I'm very happy that AP Guel Simla University has been awarded local chapter of the NPTEL Center. So what I try to I convey to the parents and the students, there is nothing to be panicked, there is nothing to be worried, and you should look forward. as you have seen that in between the semester also, once this pandemic has come, we have been able to sail through. And similarly, a normalcy will definitely come. The most important thing is that once it is a hard time, the characteristic which you sow, the hard work which you sow is going to pay you in coming time. So this is the time, shape yourself, and at the same time, your academics should not be affected, your learning and teaching should not be affected. And there are the ways through which the Indian higher education system has come up. They are giving an opportunity. So there is nothing to be worried. And in spite of all these things, we have a very encouraging response. Of course, the international students may be a little bit affected for this year.
Yes, of course. But it's interesting that you say that, and it's interesting also that you said that you have 100% online education, which is quite brilliant, and I think inspiration for a lot of other institutes in this country. And I hope that this interview, when it reaches them, they will be inspired by what you say. But at a time when this country's biggest threat right now, the most dangerous threat to this country is not the outside, it's the inside, and it's the divide, the digital divide, because most of India is still not connected with digital infrastructure or devices. So in a scenario like that, if you have 100% online education, I mean, are you also suggesting that your students are from a particular strata of society, which is an affordable strata of society, and you're not catering to the lesser part of society? Is that a part of your strategy? Or you've ensured that those from a lesser part have actually been provided with devices? How does it work?
Especially country like India, where haves and have-nots are still there. Means, not everybody is leveraging the digital learning, and it's not practically possible. University like us may say, but there are a lot of educational institutions they are facing problems. But my answer is that I tell you, I have learned about a very good experiment done by Chhattisgarh government, and for the school education they have done, where the students are living in rural areas and they have a problem of the smartphone, they have a problem of the bandwidth, internet connectivity. And what has happened that through voice messages, the classroom lectures were recorded, and this experiment has worked to some extent. But Chetan, I will like to tell you, once we are saying that we have been 100% achieved the digital learning, and that means that we have tried to minimize the academic loss. I'm a teacher basically, and I cannot say that digital mode and that the digital divide which you are talking is a substitute of the contact hours, is the substitute of the real class. But I see that education system, business enterprise is going to evolve where the things will be blended. And what will happen that like we are meeting today virtually, but it cannot be actually give the studio feeling. So for the time being, it may work, and we should think always that it will be a mixed one. It will be a blended kind of the things. So there are other things also. There are so many tools has been developed. Like podcast I am talking you is a very good means where the digital divide and other things we are talking, through which we can reach to the school children or children who are living in the rural area. So if there is a will, there is a way, I still believe.
Absolutely, and that's very, very thoughtful of you when you say that. Now, talk us, you of course mentioned a lot of the blessings in disguise, but I'm sure there are challenges as well. Talk us through the unique challenges for Shimla University.
Unique challenges is like that, once we were talking all this technology, but we didn't have a manpower trained or suitable or faculty development programs we were doing. And we were talking about the subjects matter, we were talking about the soft skills and other things, but we were never talking about the acceptability of the technology and other things. So this is a unique challenges for the education sector. Then another thing is that what I'm visualizing as education is, it is the best optimized model for the education systems. I have come to know that a lot of education institutions were stuck with the viva voce kind of the examinations, the post-graduation examinations, and these were stuck because of the non-availability of the time and not possibility of the experts.
Absolutely. So to overcome these challenges, Doctor, Chaudhary, what would be your advice to the various cross sections, A to the students, B to the parents, and C to the teachers?
My advice is that first thing is that we should overcome with the uncertainty. We always remember that after a night there is used to be a glorious morning. So the society is a little bit, I believe once you talk with the peers, they are confused, they are full of the uncertainty. We should overcome with all these things, because this is not the first time we are facing, the human civilization is facing such a pandemic, earlier also. So we require to stood very strong, and we require to be very positive, and we require to understand that this is an era of social distancing but not emotional distancing. We always keep in touch with each other.
I call this the PPP model, which is not public-private partnership, but it's being pragmatic, being positive, and being progressive. And thank you for ratifying that. Talk us through Dr. Chaudhary. You've had an exemplary career. Talk us through about that career. What have been the high points? What have been the learning?
We, Simla University, we call it at where nature nurtures young mind. I would have been very happy to show the kind of environment we are. This is the most conducive place where you can study and evolve yourself as a professional. This is very professional universities, having a multidisciplinary courses. We are very innovative. We are one of the leading university of the world who has implemented outcome-based education systems, where end of the semester we are able to calculate the in a quantitative way the outcome of the learning and teaching practices in terms of the student satisfaction, in terms of the teachers' achievement, and so on.
How lovely to know that. And talk us through Dr. Ramesh Chaudhary. You've had a very interesting and exemplary personal career. And the reason I asked this to talk us through your career, the highlights and the learnings, simply because there are a lot of other academicians who aspire to become vice chancellors and as famous as you.
As a academicians, means you have a very good publications, you have a very good illustrious resume, you might have it. But if you want to be claim yourself as a proud academician, if you think students at first, you are the true academicians, because you are, once you are feeling yourself educationist, in your mind always students should come first, because they are coming with a very high hope to you. They are giving you an opportunity to shape their career. How the best you can do for your students? Maybe it's academics, maybe it's a personal growth, maybe it's a personal taking care, maybe connectivity to the parents. We always think that you are made for the students. You are your business is a students. So you should always think towards your students, how you can give the best to your students.
Broadly, what you're saying is that the focus has to be on the subject of education and on teaching and on learning while you're teaching and teaching while you're learning, because once that symbiotic relationship develops, I mean, everything else is a byproduct and excellence is bound to happen.
Because you remember, we are from a country of India where the value of Guru is bigger than God. Guru Gobind dono khare ka ko lagu paye, Baliadi or Guru ko jisne Gobind ko bataya. You should always keep the piousness of these professions. You always understand and realize the kind of belief system of the parents and the students of the teacher.
It sounds very good. It sounds very noble, and all of us enjoy when we hear these things in the field of education. But we cannot distance ourselves from the fact that education is also a business. And now, as a business, as a commercial enterprise, education is challenged, particularly at a time when the reports have come in, parents are not willing to pay fees for their children. They feel that enough education is not being imparted. Schools, institutions should not be charging them the monies. On the other hand, the institutions say that they've got to pay their salaries. So there's a bit of a log jam on that. Would you like to throw your inputs on that?
Chetan, you are right. The things has been changed. We are living in a different world. But still, teaching is a very novel profession. it is not money oriented the way it has been projected recently with the private education system. And of course, every relationship has a give and take. You are not working just for your payment or just for the salary which you are drawing. You are working for the benefit of the students. And there are other professions where this kind of the sentiment and emotions are not there. Again, you know, this is some irresponsible statement has been made. You have to understand the irony of the education sector. You cannot say that you won't take anyone. Recently, the High Court of the Punjab has given. This was, I believe, a sentimental or emotional statement has been issued, and that has created a confusion. The private educational institutions are not given any funding, any support by anyone. Even the packages which has been government has announced, it is not, no way it is benefiting to the educational sector. And then you are expecting that educational institutions would fulfill its commitment. Where? So we have to understand, and it should be win-win situations.
Absolutely.
Edumate has a very nice endeavor, I believe, where actually we are connecting with the educational leader and talking and understanding the challenges and the way the educational sector has basically encountered this pandemic. And then you are trying to understand the vision plan. So I must congratulate Chetan and Edumate, and I wish you very good luck. And I highly appreciate your initiative. The kind of the questions you have raised is really appreciable. And I believe that these kind of the brainstorming sessions, these kind of the discussions will definitely give a better shape to the education sector in this hard time. Thank you, Chetan.
Delhi University admissions go fully online. Many states yet to decide school reopening dates, unsure due to COVID-19 situation. Karnataka announces 3-week midterm holiday for schools from October 12th to October 30th. Schools to not reopen in Maharashtra before Diwali, Education Minister Varsha Gaikwad. LSR records highest cutoffs at 100% for 3 courses. No need to spend dollars on a foreign degree anymore, Ramesh Pokhriyal. IIM alumni Shrikant Datar becomes the Dean of Harvard, second consecutive Indian to achieve so. Modi wants Oxford, Harvard and Yale to open campuses in India. Role of NCERT is very important in implementing new education policy. Political Science and BCom Honours, toughest to get in at Delhi University. Delhi University cutoffs bring out the flaws in the system. Postpone board exams to May next year, Delhi government to High Court. Despite high cutoffs, Delhi University sees a high number of applications. NTA to hold NEET re-exams for students who weren't able to appear for MHCET due to power outage. Mizoram to reopen schools for class 10th and 12th on October 16th. Gujarat colleges to end academic year by July 2021. Expert says that NEET cutoffs will be higher. Punjab allows school to reopen for class 9th to 12th after October 15th. Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University to be operational soon, Arvind Kejriwal. For in-depth details of all stories and analysis, log on to www.edumate.tv. These were the top headlines from the world of education. Now let's move on to our special series on the new normal Candid COVID Classroom, where we engage with industry, domain experts, principals and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
We learn to live and live to learn in what has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, an unprecedented pandemic. with history being written across the geography of Mother Earth. And a minor virus has created a major catastrophe. While all progress necessitates change, it's important to understand and consider that all change does not lead to progress. And that's what makes the situation rather unique, rather ambiguous, rather uncertain, and the need to find certainty. Amidst the challenges, there'll always be solutions. Amidst solutions, there'll always be better solutions, which means whatever you do to formate the new normal, it will constantly remain a work in progress. And that's why we at Edumate.tv are building an ecosphere between every single stakeholder, the teacher, the parent, the counselor, and of course, the principals, the vice chancellors, the government, the educrats, the edupreneurs, to try and understand how definitive will be the new normal and what will be the best way forward. Broadly, in a scenario like that, it's important to take opinions from all cross-sections of society to come out with what will be a 360-degree holistic solution. I welcome you once again to what is our special, a new normal with a theme of challenges, solutions, and of course, as always, new opportunities in the moment of crisis. This program is brought to you by Edumate.tv. It's produced by Education, which looks at education ahead. And I'm very proud to announce it's powered by a very special university which is doing a yeoman service in the north of India, IMS Ghaziabad. So welcome to each and every one of you, very special guests who themselves, in their own ways, achieved so much in so little time. Let's take a look at all the achievements of our very dear guests. A lot's happening in the world of education across the world. Well, that's the new normal definition. I'll get our first speaker, Professor Alok Pandey, to tell us the new normal at a time when our headlines state so many trends, so many conflicting ideas, so many decisions to be taken, so many policy changes being on the anvil, and so many thoughts.
One of the biggest challenge of digital learning actually is technology, So accidentally I pushed a button which put my computer on and off mode. So I had to switch on again. Thankfully, these are modern computers who can get switched on in a minute, not even in a minute, right? But Chetan, the biggest problem today is, the challenge today is how technology reaches people. We are seeing now an upswing in purchases of laptops by companies. We are seeing upswing in purchases of mobile phones by companies. Whether Indian manufacturing will be able to match the demand. And of course, with a country of 1.4 billion people, I'll say gross enrollment ratio of around 25 to 26%. What we need is that around 20% of this number would be around 20 crore people would need access to these equipment, technology, bandwidth, and that I think is a major challenge. Entrepreneurship requires a service mindset. You are an entrepreneur yourself. What are you doing? You are trying to solve a problem, and you come out with a solution that if people are digitally connected, and if suppose television channels are not finding viewership through cable mode, the digital mode is the best way out, and the digital way through several platforms is a great idea. So J.R.D. Tata once said, common people have appetite for food, uncommon people have appetite for service. Sadly, in our country, our young students do not have appetite for service right from the beginning. You talk to any topper. I heard all the toppers of class 12th yesterday. Ask them a question. What do you want to do? They say, I wish to appear in the UPSC civil services exam. Why are we trying to convert, again, as I always say, our students into clerks? And that is a mindset which needs to change. A service mindset has to come, and the need for power in school systems has to reduce. Students are taught that power is everything, and once you get into a civil service, you will become this, that. So I think, the challenge of another issue would be this requires critical thinking. So I'd say, if I sum up 2 or 3 points, which I have said now: availability of technology to every individual, which is a large populous nation; change of mindset from school levels; focus on research at undergraduate level; spend more on research and education. India spends like 3% of GDP on education and 0.69% of GDP on research. This number has to, if you compare China's 11 trillion GDP, India's 2.5 trillion GDP, China spends around 5% of GDP on education and similar amount on 2.5% on research. But that is for $11 trillion, $12 trillion. We've just got 2.5 trillion GDP and we have 140 crore people, 1.4 billion people. India may well become a hub of global education. And of course, for the Asian region, we will not go to Singapore. Just see how Singapore has grown. They've got Nanyang Technological University, they've got National University of Singapore, and they are the best in the world. So somewhere India has to look into those. Merely following global rankings won't do. We need to work on the basics. If the basics come out well, probably we'll be a great country.
Day by day, we become normal with the current situation. And we are being immune, I think, to fight with such pandemics since last almost 5 months. Let me tell you, my dear friends, the corona may come and go, but the life must go on. And we need to move forward with lots of precautions, positivism, and proactiveness. We as an institution of higher education have taken this challenge and tried to convert it into lots of opportunities since last March 2020. Let me tell you, my dear friends, we as an institution of higher education, higher learning, have tried our best to continue the learning process for our stakeholders through different alternative methods. Despite the fact that it may not replace the physical classroom learning, if I point out few challenges because of this COVID-19 pandemic. One, let me tell you, this online learning is here to stay. We need to get prepared for this. We here at IMS Ghaziabad has completed all our classes, examinations, other formalities of last academic year with the help of online platforms, and have also started the online classes for our existing batch students from today through online platforms. I must thank all our stakeholders, especially the students and their parents who have supported in this process since March 2020. Second challenge, more Indian students will stay home in India. Third, the effects of shrinking global economy. Fourth, the new trends in teaching and learning will emerge that we have to adapt. A call for greater global collaboration between students, academia, and the industry is going to happen. The last but not the least, will educators rise to this challenge? I must compliment all our faculty members, those who have rose up to this challenge and have fulfilled all the expectations of students and stakeholders.
For me, I think one of the biggest challenges, which I think Dr. Pandey has sketched, is technology and its availability. India still does not have a lot of internet connectivity as much as it should have been. For example, I think the internet penetration is still below 50% in India. Now, we have been talking about the opportunities that COVID has thrown up, keeping in mind the students who have access to internet and technology. But what about that bottom of the pyramid, which does not have access to technology, which does not have an internet connection, which has brains, which has talent, but which is unable to continue their education since March 2020 onwards? So I think there is a need for us as a society, us as a government, to think about that challenge, that this bottom of pyramid, if we wish to bridge that divide, which divides the haves and have-nots in education, then that divide cannot be broadened any further. And we must find ways, cheaper technology, accessing them. I think one of the steps that IMS Ghaziabad has taken in the leadership of Dr. Pandey is that we have tied up with the CSC Academy, and we have started delivering a course which is very affordable and a very high quality course on computer education to reach the rural masses. First of all, online classes, online examinations, doing them is one thing. But we as educators have known for long that everybody has a very unique learning style. Now, learning styles differ across individuals. Somebody might be able to learn from reading. Somebody likes learning from writing. Somebody likes learning from audio visual. And these learning styles are very, very different. It's scientifically been established that people might have a predilection towards one or the other learning style. Now, what COVID has done is there is one learning style which is being foisted upon all. It is not being customized, it's only AV. So I think going forward, the institutions need to think about creating a system wherein it's not just AV learning. There is content which is emailed to the students which they can read. There are opportunities where they can write, so that the variations in learning styles, I mean, there are no discrimination just because somebody's learning style is not through AV.
My observation is that our government, that is particularly the government of Tamil Nadu and the Indian government, has said to go with online classes from elementary, even nursery to college levels.
So as I delve into this topic, and I would like to just start off with my exposition by saying that in the wake of COVID-19, the educators, the administrators, the service providers, parents, students around the world, they are feeling an extraordinary ripple effect of the novel coronavirus as the schools shut down amid public health emergency. And we are actually into a time when we are ushering into an era of tech-mediated education 4.0, where online mode of education was actually a default mode of education. But I think as of now, it is here to stay, and it is here to stay for good. So as Professor Pandey also mentioned, we need to focus on the basics. So first of all, I'll focus on the basics, that as of now, what we need to look at is that we don't need to, look at the correct answers, but we need to look at the evidence of learning. Now, the process is going to become more important than the content. It is important for students to realize that it's important to know few things well rather than knowing a lot without understanding properly. And we also need to ensure that the curriculum is not purely academic. Rather, we have to have, an integrated and interdisciplinary based, broad-based kind of a curriculum. So, as far as normal schools were concerned, the school authorities well took care of, predators for children in the form of like pedophiles or other such people. But what about the cyber security concerns? We also need to take care of sanitation, social distancing norms. Teachers have to be trained for the same, the basic hygiene norms. And then also there are these huge lot of, stress, mental health issues on account of the social isolation that we are, going through. And I think there is a shadow epidemic which is actually growing under this pandemic. And that shadow epidemic is the, epidemic of panic, stress, hyper anxiety, which is both for students as well as for teachers. And I think most of the students, in order to stay in loop of the things, have, resorted to moving over to mobiles, computers, apps for tutorials, for entertainment, for education, everything, where there's no personal contact, hardly any personal interaction. And I think we need to have a curriculum readdressal, and there needs to be a whole lot of experimentation that keeps going on for the teachers. I mean, one day you're using one app, the next day you are told to be using another app. So you have to continuously keep experimenting. So which means as teachers, we need to be constantly on the go. We need to replace content with skills like the technical skills, the entrepreneurial skills, which again Professor Alok mentioned again. And then we need to look at continuous comprehensive evaluation. That's the 6C. And we need to look at outcomes which are tangible, which are achievable, which are measurable, which are pragmatic. So that's the 6C. And 7th, last but not the least, we have to look into core scholastic areas as well. We need to take care of the health awareness that children have. We need to look at the visual performing arts, entrepreneurship, life skills, communication skills. So I think this is the 7C approach, which I think if we go ahead with all these kinds of things, we can do far better. So we are damaged, but we are not doomed. That is for sure.
वैसे ठीक है, एजुकेशन सेक्टर में आप सभी की बातें सही है कि बहुत ज़्यादा संभावना है, बहुत बड़ा सेक्टर है, इसमें बहुत काम किया जा सकता है। मैं जैसे रूरल एरिया के अंदर पोस्टेड हूँ, तो मैंने जो समस्याएं देखी है वो ये है कि जब हम विश्वविद्यालय यूनिवर्सिटी की बात करते हैं तो वहाँ पे स्टूडेंट की एक्सेस इंटरनेट के साथ बहुत अच्छी मिलती है, लेकिन जब ये बात महाविद्यालय कॉलेज पे या फिर एक रूरल एरिया के पास आ जाती है तो एक बहुत बड़ा डिवाइड हमें देखने को मिलता है। ग्रामीण बच्चों का एक्सेस जो है वो उनके साथ नहीं हो पा रहा। लेकिन मेरा मानना है कि अगर टीचर की पढ़ाने की इच्छा शक्ति है, स्टूडेंट पढ़ना चाहता है और सरकार जो एजुकेशन सेक्टर है उसको बढ़ाना चाहती है, अगर तीनों की इच्छा शक्ति हो तो इस चीज़ को आराम से पार पाया जा सकता है। इसके अलावा जैसे ग्रामीण इलाकों में व्यक्तियों के पास लैपटॉप आदि जो अफोर्डेबल नहीं होते हैं, तो हम एक टीवी चैनल्स को, जैसे बीच में गवर्नमेंट प्रयास भी कर रही है कि टीवी चैनल्स के माध्यम से हम ये लर्निंग दे सकते हैं, तो ये एक अच्छा प्रयास हो सकता है इस चैलेंज को दूर करने के लिए। हालांकि इसमें पेंडेमिक में हम देखें तो शिक्षा क्षेत्र में हमारे पास सिर्फ एक ही ऑप्शन बचा है और वो है ऑनलाइन क्लास का। तो इसके लिए हमारे टीचर्स को भी थोड़ा ऑक्यूपाइड होने की जरूरत है उनको टेक्नो फ्रेंडली होना पड़ेगा ताकि हम इस चीज़ को और बढ़िया से प्रोवाइड करा सकें, ज़्यादा ट्यूटोरियल बना सकें। अब जैसे ग्रामीण एरिया में बात की जाती है कि वो टेक्नो फ्रेंडली नहीं है, तो फिर उनको व्हाट्सअप, फेसबुक, टिकटॉक ये किसने चलाना सिखाया? इसके तो कोई उनको पहले गाइडेंस नहीं दी गई थी, तो फिर गूगल मीट की या फिर इनकी गूगल क्लासेस की क्यों देने की कहाँ जरूरत है? वो भी सीख सकते हैं अगर उनकी इच्छा शक्ति है। अगर विद्यार्थी पढ़ना चाहता है तो आराम से पढ़ सकता है। हाँ, कुछ प्रयास की आवश्यकता है, कुछ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की कमी है, उसको दूर करके इसको ज़्यादा बढ़िया किया जा सकता है।
So when we talk about COVID-19 pandemic, it has brought so many changes and which was unthinkable few months ago. It was unthinkable that IT sector and many other sectors, they would work from home, or you talk about the crash of the hospitality and the travel industry, or you talk about the mass exodus of migrant labor in India, immobility of labor, but now mobility of work. And as pointed out by many distinguished panelists, we have in education sector the online classes, which has started for the schools, for the higher education sector also. So many of the panelists have spoken about the higher education, but I think so I will like to support what Dr. Sunil Punya was just mentioning about the rural sector. See, I was telling that we have distinguished higher education institutes, but when you talk about the public education in India, I think so now it's the time for the government to spend or to invest in our public education. When you talk about the government schools, now government runs its midday meals program in order as an incentive for the rural children to come to the schools. Now with this change environment, it will be very, very difficult to, I think so, it will be very difficult for the people to maintain or the government to maintain the nutritional needs of the for the rural children because of the online classes, because of this digital divide between the private education and the public education. That we need to build the psychological support system to maintain the mental well-being of our children because of the total change scenario of education, and as everybody knows that it is going to stay, it's not going to be, we need to reskill, relearn everything for the online education. So that is my view, that is my views on the challenges of remote working in education sector.
I would like to pointing something actually in case of online education, that is the affordability and accessibility. Whether this online is affordable to all, because we have to think about the equality concept. So it should be equitable, everyone should, it should be accessible to all of the students. In some remote areas, in backward areas where actually internet connectivity or electricity problem we have. So what about those students which are living in those areas? So how they will access to these internet services? In this pandemic situation, a panic situation is going on, and actually the guardians are also not, they are reluctant to sending their students to the school. So I think these types of webinars and discussions should be going on to the teachers who are engaging in the school level, and actually orientation program is also needed for those teachers.
But now in an urban area, we have a students-teacher ratio, 120 students, one teacher is there. That is also one of the biggest challenge. Now mass promotion is given, not only 120, those who backlog of the colleges who didn't clear earlier, they also will be there. Especially we don't have a space that is enough space to accommodate more than 120 students in one classroom. Now we are talking about the online classroom. Online classroom, earlier during offline, we have throughout the year we have been teaching to the students, and students used to learn little but just muck up the learning process only, and before the exam, that is a question bank we used to given to them by the university only as recommended us. A part of that, grace mark is also, the system is also good.
जैसा कि हम जानते हैं कि पूरा विश्व कोविड-19 बीमारी से जूझ रहा है, इसके कारण हम पिछले 3-4 महीने से लॉकडाउन की स्थिति में हैं। सरकार ने सूझबूझ से निर्णय लिए हैं, पर एजुकेशनिस्ट और नागरिक के रूप में हमारी जिम्मेदारी बढ़ गई है। हमें शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में नए सिरे से सोचने को मजबूर किया है और इसका उच्च शिक्षा पर भी प्रभाव पड़ा है। हमें जागरूकता के साथ उच्च शिक्षा के नए अवसरों और चुनौतियों को भली भांति समझना होगा। जैसा कि हमारे को पैनलिस्ट पांडे सर और विशेष तौर से सुनील पूनिया जी ने जो बताया है, तो उनके लिए मैं धन्यवाद दूंगा कि उन्होंने बिल्कुल ग्रास रूट बातें जो बताई है, उसमें कुछ मैं ऐड करना चाहूँगा। और पहला पॉइंट इसमें ये रखना चाहूँगा कि ई लर्निंग की गति से आगे बढ़ाना होगा। ई लर्निंग को गति से आगे बढ़ाना, ये हालांकि ये प्रक्रिया शुरू हो गई थी, लेकिन अब पिछले 4 महीने से हमें बहुत ही इसके ऊपर फोकस रह के इसको आगे बढ़ाना होगा, क्योंकि भारत एक विकासशील देश है, इसकी अपनी समस्याएं हैं। तो कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव जो एजुकेशन है वो हमें सभी तक पहुंचानी है, शिक्षा का लोकतांत्रिकरण करना है। तो इसलिए ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हमें ई लर्निंग कंटेंट को लोगों तक पहुंचाना होगा और उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा ध्यान देना होगा, फोकस रहना होगा। ईजी टू एक्सेसिबल लाइब्रेरी हमें बनानी होगी। आजकल की जो लाइब्रेरी है, लाइब्रेरी कहते तो बहुत है कि इतने पाठक है उसके, लेकिन इजी एक्सेसिबल नहीं है, सबके लिए नहीं है, सबके लिए नहीं है। पासवर्ड में भी फंस जाते हैं, उसके पता नहीं क्या क्या ऐसी प्रॉब्लम आती है जिसमें इजी एक्सेसिबल नहीं है एजुकेशन, और लाइब्रेरी तो बिल्कुल नहीं है। तो ये ज़्यादा फोकस के हमें ध्यान रखना होगा। कुछ आगे पॉइंट्स और है कि ज्ञान को बांधना नहीं है, ओपन एक्सेस टू ऑल करना होगा। वर्चुअल लर्नर को भी हमें पहचानना होगा। कौन है वर्चुअल लर्नर, हमें ये पता होना चाहिए। 2 वे कम्युनिकेशन होना चाहिए, ठीक है, और कैपेसिटी कितनी है, ये सारा ध्यान देना होगा। इसके अलावा जैसे को पैनलिस्ट ने कहा कि मौके सबको बराबर मिलने चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं है, भेदभाव होगा। अब दिल्ली में तो इंटरनेट बढ़िया आ रहा है, फिर भी यहाँ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, लेकिन गाँव में आज ही मेरे पास एक मोबाइल में आया है कि ऑनलाइन क्लासेस गरीब बच्चों के लिए बनी मुसीबत, प्रतिभा पर संसाधन का अभाव भारी। तो ये बड़ी देखो समस्या है। एक तरफ हम बात कर रहे हैं इस तरह से, दूसरी तरफ ये है, तो इसके बारे में भी हमें ध्यान रखना होगा, फोकस करना होगा। इंटरनेट और कंटेंट के ऊपर बहुत ध्यान देना होगा।
हमारा सिलेबस है या कैरिकुलम है, एक तो पुराना है। ये कॉमर्स सब्जेक्ट की तो बात करता हूँ तो ये लगभग 20 या 30 ईयर्स ओल्ड है, और आज की जो पेंडेमिक है या महामारी के दौरान जो चेंजेस आए हैं उसके अकॉर्डिंग सिलेबस चेंज करने की बहुत ज़्यादा आवश्यकता है, इसको प्रैक्टिकल बनाने की आवश्यकता है। दूसरी चीज़ क्या, यूनिवर्सिटी को या गवर्नमेंट लेवल पर हमें जो ई बुक्स हैं, ई बुक्स तो हमारे पास अवेलेबल हैं, बल्कि उनको पब्लिश कर देना पड़ेगा प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच में। जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं कि रूरल एरिया में बच्चे के पास कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है, अगर हम उसको बुक्स प्रोवाइड करा देते हैं तो ये प्रॉब्लम काफ़ी हद तक दूर हो जाएगी। कि अगर मान लीजिए किसी दिन क्लास में नहीं जुड़ पाते हैं तो वो ई बुक्स और या प्रिंटेड बुक्स के माध्यम से उस कैरिकुलम को कवर कर सकते हैं। दूसरी चीज, जो कैरिकुलम में यूजलेस या ओल्ड सिलेबस हो गया उसको हटा देना चाहिए।
सबसे बड़ी चुनौती तो उनको है लाइन जोड़ने में, डिजिटल कनेक्टिविटी की। उस बात का जो है इस वक्त हम एविडेंस भी देख रहे हैं हमारे सामने। खैर, we've heard a lot of opinions, a lot of solutions have come our way, and a lot of challenges still remain unresolved. Perhaps that will be a very unique part of our new opportunities. We'll take a break right now. When we come back, our second half of our section will be on the new opportunities. Stay.
back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Well, it is indeed an interesting, candid COVID classroom. Now, isn't it? We will bring it right back to you after this very short break. Stay tuned.
Our role in an educational institution is to prepare our students to think and make persuasive arguments which force the world to change.
The idea of introvovenness is that the very many concepts that we think are very critical, whether it's a sense of history, whether it's a sense of writing and oral communications, whether it's the fluency with data and digital, the idea of ethical decision making, get introduced, reintroduced, affirmed, reaffirmed in different contexts.
The reason I joined CREA is because I wanted to study and experience a multitude of subjects at the same time. I've already seen how subjects interweave. For instance, scientific reasoning interweaves with philosophy, social and historical interweaves with data analytics.
At CREA, we're looking at history as central to understanding social change. We want students to be able to appreciate the intellectual evolution of different disciplines, whether mathematical or scientific, literary or philosophical.
At the end of the writing and oral communications course, students are writing in ways that are thoughtful, complex, and nuanced.
I have changed from writing I feel, I think statements to writing arguments well substantiated with evidence and text.
The creative expression course demands that students think differently, out of the box, in a way that they have never done before.
The first trimester, we were given projects such as making our own raps and making our own podcasts. And we did all of this in our media lab. And our media lab's been fully equipped with virtual reality equipment, which we play around with, whether it be games or even painting around.
The foremost principle that we had in mind while designing student life was self-governance or self-curation. So we had to wait for the students to really come into our campus and work with us to co-create the student life experience.
The favorite part about life at CREA is the friendly environment that is being created among students, faculty and other members living in the campus. Each and every person over here is encouraged to voice their own opinions.
All I'm trying to do is simply expose people to just the kinds of experiences that I've had, for which I'm extraordinarily grateful to a lot of people, starting with parents and just a lot of others giving me that space.
Sri City is a great place for outdoor activities. The Satavedu forest is just a couple of kilometers in that direction, and the Pulikat lake is about 5-6 kilometers east from where we are. Both of these places are very nice hiking trails and biking trails. So overall here we can plan a lot of great outdoor activities.
We at CREA take a lot of pride in having sports and well-being as an integral part of our culture. The enthusiasm the students have been showing is very, very positive.
When I'm not in class, there are so many other things to do. Right from thought-provoking and challenging assignments, guest lectures, and various other club activities. There's a general culture of being engaged with the world at large, critical thinking, and respectful discourse, which I feel add a great deal of value outside the classroom. I would recommend Kriya to anybody who would like an education that pushes them to evolve at an individual level.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Now let's go back to our new normal candid COVID classroom and join Chetan Sharma, founder Edumate.tv, in conversation with the industry, domain experts, principals and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
What we promised, our second half is going to be even more challenging, because that's going to evoke a sense of thought. You've got to think now and provide us a list of the new opportunities. I urge each of you to keep your opportunities short, crisp, and to the point so that the takeaway will be far more quicker, will be far more evocative, and be far more inspiring. But first, let's take a quick round-up and a comment from Professor Alok Pandey. Professor Pandey, you've heard a lot from all our teachers, our principals, the head of departments from the rural India, from urban India. You've heard their challenges, you've heard their solutions. I'd like you to first make an analysis of what are the important points that you found were key takeaways for you, and then move on to the new opportunities. Professor Pandey, over to you.
Whether online education works for whom and how does it work? Whether rural India will be able to tackle it, whether education would be education as a wealth can be equitably distributed or not, whether higher education versus secondary and primary education and online learning. Today, HRD ministry has issued guidelines for schools that the classes cannot be for more than 3 hours, that you would need to have a break. Of course, there are no guidelines. One of the my colleague from Mumbai, madam said that her daughter studies at NIT, and she says that she only puts the phones on, and if engineering students are studying like this, how would commerce students would study? Because the challenge is the education is not attracting the students in this mode. It's actually a waste of time for them. But that's how it is. As one colleague from Aligarh, Professor Agrawal, very eloquently mentioned that our examination systems are still age-old, our curriculums are 30-year-old. You ask a student in this country of commerce, has he heard about IFRS and IFRS applicability? Are state governments applying changing courses? I can tell you that, this 3-hour exams and those 5-question guidebooks which are available all across the country, entire country of, you say gross enrollment ratio 26%, I'll count it as around 1 out of 140 crores, say 28 crore people going to higher education, and everybody's passing an exam through a guidebook. We are trying to, at IMS Ghaziabad, experiment as to how we can deliver the best content, practical content. How can I make somebody learn financial modeling? How can I make somebody learn how to check plagiarism in his research paper? How can I make somebody learn a programming language? All these practical aspects will come in, and that is the final big opportunity. So I hope that as we move forward, we'll have fair amount of thinking and introspection on this. A long-term plan would be laid out, investment would be laid out, the heartland would come near to the urban areas, and we will deliver education which is applied education rather than just talking and students just switching off their mobile and watching television.
Very quickly going to the opportunities, because many of the things have been already highlighted by Professor Pandey. First point is like Professor Bandhan was telling us that online education is going to be the new normal. Yes, it is the new normal. I say rise in blended learning, and I always say that it is going to be a marriage between physical and digital classroom. We call it a hybrid model we have to adapt now. The second is the learning management system to be the new norm. Like Professor Bandhan was telling 7 Cs, I tell it 4 E's, that e-resources, e-content, e-library, e-interaction. That is the need of the hour. The need is to develop e-libraries and provide free remote access to the students with e-classroom facilities, on which, let me tell you, Chetan, once again, we at IMS Ghaziabad is very proactive and given remote access to all our students for accessing the digital library. Third, improvement in learning materials. Let me tell you, my dear friends, normal PPT, conventional PPT format is not going to work. It needs to be more of virtual interaction and experiential learning.
I'd like to start off with two aphorisms that I thoroughly believe in. Number one, challenges are, always tend to prove a blessing in disguise. That's the first thing I thoroughly believe in. And the second thing that I'd like to say here is breakups are startups. So when I'm talking of breakups, I would like to say we need to break up from our, conservative, traditional tools, techniques, pedagogy, and we need to, indulge in new startups. That is, we need to take up to new skills, collaborative tools, resources, adoption of new values. So that's the first thing I need to see as an opportunity. And secondly, we need to work on our students' IQ, EQ, and that's the intelligence quotient and the emotional quotient. And we've been studying till now that both of them are equally important for the success of a student. But as of now, I would say there are two more cues to it. Number 3, spiritual quotient. And number 4, we also need to work on the adaptation quotient. And as I mentioned last time also, Charles Darwin clearly said, it's the survival of the fittest. As of now, it's not the survival of the fittest. It's going to be the survival of the most flexible. So that's the second thing. Third thing, if I were to say that I have to make the education system fit. So fit as an F, I think we need fiscal reforms. I think we need institutional and infrastructural reforms. And T, I think we need a whole lot of technical reforms as well. That will make our educational system fit.
First of all, for higher education, the opportunities to offer online degree courses. So the government has come out with the directives that now the institutions, universities can offer online degree courses where a student has an opportunity to take 2 degrees, one in the regular mode and one in the online mode. The second is, again, the opportunities for the private and the foreign universities for creating job-ready online program or curriculum, as already mentioned by Professor Pandey. Then we have, as been discussed over the time, that we need to really opportunities for the training and development of teachers. Their reskilling is a big opportunities to introspect ourselves to teach better online to the students. And the last one which I want to mention is we need to have more SWAYAM-like platforms for the MOOC courses to be offered to the students.
Within this milieu, I think it is high time government set up a central repository of courses as well as books and literature which can be accessed by anyone across India online. I think this is a great cost-cutting opportunity where government can make sure that education reaches in all forms, in terms of books, in terms of documents, and in terms of videos and courses to everyone around. But how that will reach the rural masses? The again digital divide problem will come up. So I think what Atalji did in 90s by building the Golden Quadrilateral project, this government has a great opportunity by creating information highways which connect the entire India, and it will have such huge collateral benefits in addition to the benefits that it will accrue to the rural masses for accessing education that I think one can only imagine. Online, hybrid is the way forward, which can drastically reduce the infrastructure cost, the working capital cost. Teachers will not come to college, the students will not come to college, the institution saves a lot in terms of electricity bills, in terms of seating arrangement. There's so many things that the institution is going to save, and all that cost cutting can be passed on to the student. And this is where the future of India lies, the rural masses who do not have affordability, but who have much higher talent than perhaps many of us.
और जैसे इस सिचुएशन की अगर पेंडेमिक की तुलना हम पिछले वाले सालों की घटनाओं से करें, चाहे वो दूसरा वर्ल्ड वार हो या फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस हो या इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस, आर्थिक मंदी थी, इन सब के अंदर जो सोसाइटी थी, सोसाइटी को हम जो इकोनॉमिस्ट है उनको कह सकते हैं, आप जो रेगुलेटर हैं उनको कह सकते हैं, पॉलिसी मेकर्स को कह सकते हैं, उन्होंने हमेशा एक अच्छे तरीके से रेस्पॉन्ड किया, जो कि उन घटनाओं के दौरान जैसे अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का बनना, सेबी की स्थापना होना, यूएन की स्थापना, वर्ल्ड बैंक की स्थापना, IMF वगैरह, तो हर चीज़ को संभालने के लिए सोसाइटी ने रेस्पॉन्ड किया और इकोनॉमी की केयर की है। तो हम मान के चलते हैं कि हम इस सिचुएशन से बहुत जल्दी पार पा लेंगे। और एक फीडबैक, स्टूडेंट को कंटेंट तो मिलता है लेकिन फीडबैक की अभी तक डेवलप इतना नहीं कर पाए हैं हमारे कॉलेजेस के हिसाब से, मैं बता रहा हूँ। तो एक ऐसा भी प्लेटफॉर्म हम बनाए जिससे स्टूडेंट का फीडबैक भी आता रहे, असेसमेंट होता रहे, वो जो ऑनलाइन लर्निंग है उसको थोड़ा सीरियस ले। बाकी गवर्नमेंट की सहायता से जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे उस पर काम किया जाएगा तो हम और बेहतर प्रदर्शन कर पाएंगे।
हमें ई लर्निंग के लिए बढ़ावा देना होगा। सबको तैयार होना होगा, क्योंकि सिचुएशन तो हो गई, लेकिन सिचुएशन से जैसे पार पाना है तो पार पाने के लिए आपको उसको अडॉप्ट ही करना होगा, और कोई रास्ता भी नहीं है। जैसे सुनील जी ने कहा, ई कंटेंट है, उसकी क्वालिटी होनी चाहिए, बढ़िया होनी चाहिए। और लास्ट में ये मैं जोड़ना चाहूँगा कि जो कॉपीराइट इश्यूज है उसका सिंप्लीफिकेशन होना जरूरी है, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है।
As we have to learn to live with Corona, so there are many challenges, but it also gives up some opportunity. We all are hearing about that government promoting the Digital India concept. So I think the Corona gives us the opportunity to make the best use of it. Prior Corona, if we see, the mobile phones are using by teenagers for a entertainment purpose, but now they are using it for education purpose, which is a positive sign of Corona, I think. And also it gives us the big opportunity for the web developers who develop various webs for the education.
ऑनलाइन सिस्टम तो है ही है सर, इसके साथ हम ऑनलाइन सिस्टम के साथ साथ ऑफलाइन सिस्टम को भी अडॉप्ट रखते हैं। एक्चुअली क्या है, गवर्नमेंट जो है अगर हमें असाइनमेंट पब्लिकेशन की फैसिलिटीज उपलब्ध करा दे तो हम ऑफलाइन स्टडी मटेरियल स्टूडेंट्स को प्रोवाइड करें, और उसमें असाइनमेंट या जो भी हम प्रोजेक्ट देना चाहें उसके माध्यम से हम उसको स्टूडेंट्स को दें, जैसे कि इग्नो करता है। इग्नो ऑनलाइन फैसिलिटीज तो देता ही देता है, इसके अलावा ऑफलाइन फैसिलिटीज भी देता है। बच्चों को एक टाइम के बाद असाइनमेंट जमा करने पड़ते हैं। इसी तरीके से जो हमारी ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन हो रही है, रोज रेगुलर क्लासेस भी चलें, इसके अलावा बच्चे असाइनमेंट भी जमा करें।
They fail to answer you the exact meaning of a business and a marketing. Or a business, they'll say buying and selling. That's it. That is not a buying and selling. That is a trade. This is what the education is given to them only. Muck up only that they learn out of this. Nothing they learn. Few words they learn appear for the exam in a commerce faculty, the commerce stream in an urban area. What I suggested, 3I formula is supposed to be included in the syllabus. That is a 3I, 1I for imagination to be developed among the students. That's supposed to be given in innovation activities. Innovation should be grow and supposed to be initiative.
So as I often say on Edumate.tv, we've come to the end of yet another very informative, inspiring and insightful seminar. And a little while back, we heard about several C's. I'll add 3 more C's to our conversation. The big C, COVID, can only be fought with 3 C's. Being collaborative, being creative, and being corrective. Thank you for joining us. As I always say, to better educate, you'd better edumate.
साहब, आप भारत के प्रधानमंत्री बनना चाहते हैं?
मैंने कभी बनने का सपना पहले भी नहीं देखा था, आज भी नहीं देख रहा हूँ, आगे भी नहीं देखूंगा।
You have a knack for really asking great questions, I must say.
What is it that's going to take you to make a substantial investment into India?
When you got to know that you're going to be the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, was there a smile on your face or a frown?
हमारा संविधान ये कहता है कि हर एक भारतीय को 16 साल तक मुफ्त की नहीं शिक्षा अनिवार्य होनी चाहिए। कहाँ तक पहुँचे हम?
Budgets can create jobs.
So is the beautiful now becoming the bold and the beautiful? क्या कहें आपको? सुंदर, सफल, suave. क्या बोले आप?
Starting out as a cricketer, he used to let his bat speak. Then moving out of cricket, he used to let himself speak. Always straight talk from Navjot Singh. Why would Navjot Singh be a politician? People who never talk straight. बात करते हैं परीक्षा की।
मस्ती के साथ वो छात्र पढ़े, लेकिन उसका वर्ष हम खराब नहीं होने देंगे।
जाके कॉलेज में admission की जरूरत पड़ेगी। एक बहुत बड़ी चुनौती जिसका स्टूडेंट्स दे
like drawing or other things.
If they get the funds, they are not able to spend them in time.
But actually, what does a child need?
Chetanji, I think what you have just pointed out is one of the very evident points.
इसमें तो बड़ा परिवर्तन है उसमें मैं आपको भी एक बहुत बड़ा मत करना Thank you, Chetan Sharma and Edumate TV.
Try and make a better education system for our future. That's why I always say, if you educate better, then you edumate better. As coronavirus makes us realign and educators line up for online, will classes reopen and end the homestay? How much screen time is actually okay? Parents panic for a safer state and students in the lockdown frustrate. When physical distancing is the new norm and masks and gloves become the uniform, the digital divide becomes a serious challenger. Adaptability becomes key for the wise chancellor.
That is one little song that we want very Then there are some lessons of the perspective of that means each student this online teaching. But then still it is any faculty.
It's truly a pleasure to call you the Vice Chancellor. Thank you, sir.
जो सबसे समझदार लोग हैं वो लोग क्या लेते हैं? साइंस लेते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग कॉमर्स लेते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग आर्ट्स लेते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग स्कूलिंग करते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग देहाती लेते हैं. सबसे ज्यादा समझदार लोग कौन होते हैं? साइंस लेते हैं. जो ये लोग बीटेक करते हैं, इंजीनियरिंग करते हैं ये लोग. ठीक है. जो लोग कॉमर्स करते हैं ये लोग बीकॉम के बाद एमबीए करते हैं. एमबीए के अंडर में बीटेक काम करते हैं. जो लोग आर्ट्स लेते हैं ये लोग सिविल सर्विसेज में जाते हैं. इनके अंडर में एमबीए काम करते हैं. इनके अंडर में बीटेक काम करते हैं. जो लोग सिर्फ स्कूलिंग की होते हैं पढ़े वो पॉलिटिशियन बनते हैं. इनके अंडर में आईएएस काम करते हैं. इनके अंडर में एमबीए काम करते हैं. इनके अंडर में बीटेक काम करते हैं. और निहायती नालायक लोग सो कॉल्ड साधु बनते हैं जिनके अंडर में पॉलिटिशियन काम करते हैं. जिनके अंडर में आईएएस काम करता है. जिनके अंडर में कॉमर्स एमबीए काम करते हैं. जिनके अंडर में बीटेक काम करता है. कर ली अपनी बीटेक एमटेक.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Coming ahead is our very special show, The Vice Chancellor, with Dr. Sanjay Gupta, Vice Chancellor, World University of Design, an exclusive conversation of insights and inspiration with Chetan Sharma, founder, Edumate.tv. Over to Chetan.
Welcome to Edumate.tv. I'm Chetan Sharma. The only thing certain in these times is uncertainty. And a pandemic caused by a minor virus has created a major catastrophe across the world, particularly the education world. And in times like these, when there's panic, fear, uncertainty, what we need is wisdom, words of wisdom. And for that we have a very special show, The Wise Chancellor. Well, today on the show, a very special guest from the World University of Design. We've got Dr. Sanjay Gupta. What a pleasure to have you, sir, with us. And thank you so much for your time, for joining us. Your first observation on this very critical time. How baffled have you been by the initial circumstances, and have you got a better hold of things now?
Yes, talking about the pandemic, one of the things we teach in design education is that you have to be agile, flexible, responsive to things around you. So we saw this coming. And just before, in fact, 15 days before, even the national lockdown was announced, we were prepared. So we had a lot of discussions with our students and faculty on how things may turn out to be. So it was a very thoughtful but innovative solutions which we could work out in such times. A lot of people said design can't be taught online. Design is something which is done by hand. Yes, but then there are ways in which you can do work at home also. We faced a lot of problem because our students come from 22 states and from villages and towns which may not have, stationaries or material or connectivity. So we could work out a cluster of existing technologies which we used together in groups to ensure that everything which we wanted done got done. The learning continued uninterrupted.
Obviously, with good reason that I invite you to be the Vice Chancellor. Now, when you talked about design, about anticipation, about futuristic, obviously one would like you to take a lens at the future, do a bit of a crystal ball glaze, and tell us, what do you see? How do you see things panning out from here? And have you got your responses to that?
See, there is a cluster of technologies: machine learning, blockchain, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, alternative energy sources, biotechnologies, all these which are coming, which will completely change the way things were being done. And we are seeing it now in one stroke, where people were imagining that online learning would take next 5 years to come. In less than 5 weeks, we had the complete, world shifting on to online things. So it is going to come like that. As educational institutions, what we have to do is to keep an eye on how this whole paradigm is changing, what the new landscape may look like, and then prepare our students for the future. Again, I think we have been an influencer in this case, and a lot of universities have been taking our lead. We have not only introduced Design University, we started with over 20 design specializations. Today we have more than 30. But with every year we introduce more appropriate courses which may prepare you for our future.
I think it's so important that, to believe that the only thing constant is change. And change has to be a part of your process, of your thinking on a regular basis. It has to be a habit that you need to understand, okay, what is the next thing we're going to change? So once you're able to have a mindset like that, I think you will do exactly what you're doing. I was fortunate, Dr. Gupta, to do my design thinking through the Stanford University, and I realized this very early, that the sense of being futuristic is so constant, right? And it has to be built into a very integral habit. But that having been said, for the large part of this country, the word design, is a very limited word. It's almost like a stigma. One would relate design to, let's say, a liberal art or a creative art or architecture, or what have you. The concept of design engineering mentally also needs to change. So are you thinking in some way of propagating that? Are there any efforts you're taking on that? Not just as a career opportunity, as a mindset change for the students?
Absolutely. I think, and I quote here Steve Jobs, who said, that design is not the way it looks. Design is the way it functions. Everything around us has been designed, not just our clothes, our spectacles, our watches, our mobile phones, our furniture. Everything is designed. So the whole design university concept was made around this thinking, that design is a horizontal among all verticals. So you find out where the design and that vertical integrates, and then you bring it in. So we have traditionally, if you talk about our courses, from fashion to fashion communication, product design, interior design, transportation design, industrial design, communication, TV, film and video, animation and gaming.
Wonderful.
We are trying to cover everything where design intersects with any vertical.
So broadly what you're saying, and I'm given to understand, is that any subject can be by design, because every activity has a purpose, right? Absolutely. It just doesn't happen by chance, right? It is done through a strategy, it's done with a reason, and it's done with an objective in mind. So with that purpose, it's just all pervasive. Design can almost be in anything. But that having been said, how do you translate this and narrow it down to a career option? It's all very well to study it, and say, how do you focus that? And because employability is a very key component of what Edumate stresses out to do. And a large portion of the problems in this country is not just about employment. You will appreciate it's about employability.
Employability for design careers is so far has never been an issue, because this is something which very few people understand and appreciate. To talk about how to make a career, all of us always had been using chairs, sitting on one hand, sitting on one. A chair can be very comfortable. It can be an easy chair. It can be a chair which keeps you up and awake. It can be a chair which will get you to relax and lay down. What changes? It's the body ergonomics which changes. It's not just the aesthetics. It's how you make it function. And in our country, since our independence, we have been trying to catch up. All our education and everything has been to catch up with what is happening abroad. It was never about us. But for past 1 decade, if you have your eyes and ears to the ground, you would know that things have started changing. People are looking at our own Indian ethos, our own culture, our own design sensibilities, and bringing it out. So this is the decade where we say that Indian design sensibilities would come out and control or spread all over the world. And that is where the design is going to play a critical, absolutely critical role.
It's been a while now, and a much needed while, from when this entire society is moving from reactivity to proactivity. It's moving from, in pharmaceutical terms, moving from cure to prevention. So, that's a futuristic approach, and I'm so glad you bring that out and you make design a very integral part of it. A simple question for our student audience: why should they be interested in design as a career? Who should be interested in design as a career? And what can they look forward to after having gone through the World University of Design in terms of career options?
We are open to absolutely everyone. In design, for example, today, if I just analyze my existing students, more than 45% students are from science, and another 30-35% are from commerce. Arts is in fact the smallest part of the group, because it's no longer about, as I said, it's about functionality. It's about making things work. And absolutely anybody who has an idea about anything, who has an interest in how things work, how things look, how they can be made to be more useful to human use, has an opening in design. We take admissions from everywhere. How you score in your physics, chemistry, maths is of no interest to us. We check your design aptitude, and if it is good, we take you in. Even if you have done your undergraduation in engineering or English honors or law or anything else, but you're not happy there and you want to be happy, then do a post-graduation in design. And it will add that value to your career, where you can not only find a job which is easier, but make a career.
And what would those careers typically be?
You have today positions like Chief Design Officer, CDO, which is almost equivalent to a CEO's position being created. And multi-million dollar salaries are available to these people. You look at all IT majors, from Microsoft to Infosys, Google, or you name them, they hire designers today by hundreds, because these designers are more empathetic. So when you are working on developing an app or developing a new program or developing a new user interface or even talking to the clients, unless you are empathetic, you do not connect. You do not see a problem the way it should be seen by a human. You see a problem as a problem.
Interesting.
So that's a very interesting concept, and these companies have got it right there, and these are hiring designers by them.
Anything on the outside the IT space, and apart from that, this will also require very good education to the CEOs of the companies to be able to recognize the value. I think you'll have to do a lot of work there as well.
Absolutely. There's no issue. If you look at the kind of companies with whom we are connecting, They go everywhere, from an event management company right up to the IT company or multinationals or white good manufacturings or think tanks, consulting companies, banks. They're going everywhere.
From my point of view, I mean, it's not just the students that need to be educated about design. It's the teachers, which your faculty would be doing, and other faculties across the world and the country. But also, I think the people in corporate India and the INCs across the world who need to be, who need to actually be trained on the value or extraction of value from somebody in design. Talk us through your institute. It's not very old. It's about 4 years young, I could say. Let us know what the USPs are. What are the unique things that you do at the World Institute of Design?
The institute is located in Rajiv Gandhi Education City, which is a little away from Delhi. It's a 12.5-acre campus, most modern, totally air-conditioned and Wi-Fi. On-campus accommodation for everybody, boys and girls. We have very sophisticated labs. Most modern CNC machines, 3D printing machines, all those things are there. So right from your basic studios to the most sophisticated prototyping machines, everything is there. We are internationally connected by a lot of things. We have over 15 exchange agreements signed up. So students have been going abroad. Their faculty have been coming and teaching here. We have started many international programs, but for the benefit of Indian students and faculty. You were talking about faculty training. We have a new version of which will be coming in September. It's called Global Goals Jam. It's a design thinking sprint, which we do on a mega scale, and we try to address the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. We are part of a program called Design Across Cultures, because when you change culture, the culture changes, the way people look at problems also changes. So there are many ways in which we are internationalizing the students. It's not always that every student get to go. So how can students staying here can get a feel of international education? And that is through faculty exchange and faculty reach. So we are doing that.
And I also believe that particularly for the world of design, which is rather nascent to a lot of the young eyes, the more people the merrier, because that also grows the market and the awareness building. So
Absolutely.
That really helps. And you've had a very illustrious career yourself, Dr. Gupta. Talk us through what makes you the Vice Chancellor, because a lot of people are looking at being a Chancellor as a career option as well.
So yeah, I had an interesting career. I'm a IIT graduate. So I'm a BTech and a PhD from IIT Delhi. And during my time here only, I tried to introduce design to IIT system. And I made a proposal for doing that. But at that time, IITs were perhaps not as open-minded as they have become today. It took 30 years perhaps for IITs to adopt design. They finally did recently. But that's what I did. And then
Dr. Gupta had a big hand in making IIT design friendly, is it?
I can't say that. I can't take that credit. but I tried. I tried doing that. And then I joined IIT, I joined NIFT. It was just being formed.
Right.
So I got associated with that. And 15 years I was there, and I was brought out when I was the Dean of NIFT, looking at all its 16 centers and all the faculty and curriculums and everything. I also then tried to get into the university system to see how it works. Because when you were at NIFT, which was an independent body under Ministry of Textiles, there we had a choice of getting under the UGC paradigm. Right. But then when we looked at all the regulations of UGC, we found that perhaps we will not be able to do justice to the way we look at design, the more freedom of design. So then we went in the other way, and NIFT got made the Institute of National Importance, awarding its own degrees. So I wanted to get into the university system and see what can be done there. And so I established one design department in one of the universities in Gurgaon. And it was very interesting exercise, and UGC regulations are not so bad. There are ways in which you can ease that. So I thought of starting the University of Design. And the day I announced, I think everybody woke up suddenly. Oh, there's a University of Design coming.
Wonderful.
And since that, if you see past 3-4 years, every university in the country has opened a design department.
It's really inspirational when you hear from people like yourself, how to take a bit of risk, but be convinced about the risk that you're taking. It's almost entrepreneurial in several ways, and
Yes.
I really compliment you on that. A quick final word, Dr. Gupta, and a message to the students around, obviously, and also not the students, the faculty, not just in your institute, but in institutes around, as to how they should be approaching the pandemic and the problems which it does promise to enforce in the future.
So I would just like to say to students and faculty all together that, pandemic is just another challenge. It's a bigger challenge. It is a challenge which is impacting the whole world for the first time, with everybody in this world facing the same issues and in the same situation. The only thing which stops you is you yourself. If you apply your brain, if you apply your mind, you want to do something, things can be done. There would always be a way around. If you want to learn, if you want to teach, there would always be a way around. Technology, presence of laptops, cameras, this is not important. We all have our phones. They're all connected. There are ways in which there are enough technology around here which you can use and get connected. So let us not have a pandemic stop us. Let's go right ahead and do what we do best, which is to inspire the next generation of change makers for this world.
Thank you, and you have been an inspiration in so many words. Thank you so much for infusing the 3 P's, which I say are very important, for our future. P number 1 is pragmatism, P number 2 is positivity, and P number 3 is progression, because that's the only way forward, and by design. So thank you for that, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you, Chetan, and I wish this channel all the best. Initiative well begun, and I think it would go a long way in making a name for itself.
Thank you for watching this live broadcast on Edumate.tv. Stay logged on to www.edumate.tv for all the latest news and analysis from the world of higher education. And do remember, to educate better, you better edumate.